Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
When Dean Webb comes in from Faith Farm Ministries, I'm always ready with a handkerchief or with a big smile because I know that something very exciting is going to happen. Dean lives in a world of wonderment. It's not all pleasurable because the people who are involved in his organization, the people who are helped by his organization, are sometimes in extreme, serious conditions. But I always like to go to the end then of what happens. Let's go not to the beginning, but the end, the result of what your organization does. And you were sharing with me when you came in, Dean, just what you were feeling just about that.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday I had a really poignant experience. The students, we're the only recovery ministry in the world that our course of study over 9 months is accredited by accredited college to get credits, either 3, 6, or 9 college credits, depending on how people test and what they choose to test for. And of course, not everyone that comes into Faith Farm is college material. They some of them don't even have high school educations, and it's all over the board. And we have people that are college graduates too that have been succumbed to drug use. But yesterday, I walked into the fellowship hall, which is a large eating area behind the church, and it was full of big circular tables that seat 8 to 10 people, and there were 4 to 5 students. And I've never been in a building at Faith Farm that was this quiet. I walked in the door quietly because I could look through the window and see and the entire room was full of students that were just hunched over their papers, were testing, and they were testing for one of the 3-hour college credit courses. And I looked around that room at those men and women, and I just wanted to cry. Because here I thought, I remembered some of them, how they came into the program. They were totally down. They had no hope. They were totally broken people. And here they were 9 months later, sitting for final exams to get, this was one of the 3 college credit courses, 3-hour, and every single, all but one passed, and with some grade or another. And some people, they have high aspirations and they just don't have the educational background to score well. But most of them that took the test, all but one passed. And I just looked at these people and I thought, my God, how far these people have come. They came in totally homeless and broken and had just been detoxed off of drugs and alcohol and had gone through our 9-month course. And here they were sitting as college students testing for a 3-hour, one of the 3-hour courses. And it was such a poignant, emotional. It just brought tears to my eyes. I got tears in my eyes now talking about it. Well, just thinking about it. It was such a powerful feeling.
But I was thinking about that. That's way on the very top. Let's talk about what happens when on a lower level, when you have told me that if you want to graduate from Faith Farm, you have a high school education, you must get a GED.
Yeah.
Now, is that true?
Oh, yeah. Here's our philosophy. We try and do anything we can to remove any excuse you have for not being successful at whatever level. So you come in, most people come in broken in one area or another in their life because of the addiction. And if you don't have education, high school diploma, we require you to work on your GED. And we have both computerized stuff where you can proceed at your own speed. Plus, we pay several $1,000s a month to have people come in and educate and teach GED courses. So we pay that out of our pocket. It doesn't cost them anything. So we have county people come in, teach GED courses. And because while you're there in our program 9 months, we require you to work on a college education. On the GED. to get your diploma.
Which is a high school
high school,
right?
Yeah.
High school diploma.
And I'm telling you, I saw a guy once who he had a learning disability. This was at our Lauderdale campus. And I'm telling you, when he got that high school diploma, he ran around the chapel jumping. I thought, it's what you would expect to see somebody react if they'd won the lottery. That's what it looked
And
like.
he
Was
did.
so,
And
and for him it was a lottery because he had never finished or completed anything. He had a learning disability, and he was able to get that high school diploma. And now the GEDs, they say high school diploma in gold. I mean, they look really good. And he was one of the first ones when they changed the diploma and got that. And he called us up a year and a half later. He was married, had a job, had an apartment. His whole life had been turned around. But part of it was that self-esteem and confidence he got from getting that GED and that high school diploma. So if you don't have that, you work on that. The interesting thing about our program is that if you don't have a high school diploma, you work at nights on your GED. You go to courses, you work on the computer to get your GED. But at the same time, during the day, you're going to the classes and learning, and if you can get your GED and pass that before the college exam, then you can sit for the college exam, get college credits too. So you can double track while you're going through. You can really make up for lost time at Faith Farm, I'm telling you. So you can get your high school diploma through your GED at the same time you're studying and taking your college approved courses on addiction.
You just said something thinking about the high school. A lot of these people really, their parents never even finished high school. Maybe their whole family never finished high school, and now they were just through all this terror. And the next thing they know, they're the ones that has a high school degree.
Yeah, and it's a whole mixed bag of things. One time, one of the women was at graduation, and her parents were both doctors, and she dropped out of school, and they were mad forever at her for doing that, and because she got addiction on alcohol and was on the street and all this stuff, and she said her parents were flying in to come to her graduation. And I can't say on the radio the word she used, but they're gonna die.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
just say when they see that I get awarded college credits, they're not gonna believe it. They thought I was in here just turning my life around, trying to get off alcohol.
That's pretty
and drugs.
neat.
So,
And you have
so that's
really,
pretty cool.
So you've offered this. Was this done before you got there? Was this your idea? I know you don't like to brag about yourself, but
the college is new. That's only a couple years old. The GED used to be optional, and when I came, it was. But we had a guy who was really smart down at the Lauderdale campus, and he wanted to get a CDL. He wanted to be a truck driver, and this was when GED was optional. And he said, I don't need to have a GED. I made all my life, blah, blah, blah. Well, he went and took his CDL license, and he scored top of the class. Like I said, he was very smart. But the trucking firm he wanted to go with, everybody wanted him because he scored. When he got there, the HR was looking at his application. She says, "Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. The firm you're applying for that wants you to come requires at least a high school education, and you don't have one." Well, this guy was devastated. He tucked tail, ran, came back to the campus and asked. He says, "Can I work on my GED?" So anyway, he got his GED, and in only 3 weeks, he did it on the computer. He was brilliant. And he went back. After he applied. Well, the company didn't have any openings that he wanted to work for in South Florida, so he took another job. Well, he calls us about 3.5 months later. He said, "Guys, guess where I am? I'm driving through 3.5 feet of snow in South Dakota. I just wish I'd listened to you. If I'd have done my GED while I was going through the school there, I would have been employed in South Florida, in sunny Florida, driving where I wanted to drive." And so when I heard that, when I got that phone call, at that point I said, you know what? They may not think they need a GED, but we know better. We're going to make them get a GED because they may not think they need it, and maybe they've juked around on the street and sold and dealt and made but in a legitimate arena, they need to have their GED. So at that point, we made it mandatory for them to work on it.
that's brilliant that you did that. And I'm sure when people come in, they're so overwhelmed with even just trying to get sober that they don't even hear those words. That's just, okay, I'm just going to come in here, whatever's going to happen. But then as they start to get more educated and they get in tune, then that's something they get to think about. Oh, so you mean I can't leave with, then what happens after 9 months? If they don't go for this, they're gone, right? What happens if they don't, they don't do it?
We try and give a lot of grace. We have had a guy who we've had people that couldn't even read, and we would pay people to come in and teach them to read. And when you're starting from that ground zero, that low, it's really hard to say you got to have a GED by the time you graduate, because they only work on it 2 nights a week. So after the regular work program, so we have let people graduate without a GED. We had one recently where he already had a job. He was really good, and he got a job. No, I wasn't going to hold him up, because the critical thing about people with drug and alcohol addiction is the exit plan. If they don't have something to go to where they can earn money, they can real easily be tempted to fall back in their old lifestyle. So the fact this guy had a job, even though he hadn't quite got his GED, and he the 2 of the sections, like on literature and English and all this stuff, he was fine. He was having the worst time with the math part of it. He just couldn't get the math part of it. And so I went ahead and approved him graduating and going to his job, because I figured I wasn't going to hold him up. And I remember math in high school and algebra. I still don't, A plus B equals C squared.
Right.
What's the A worth? What's the B worth? What's the C?
Right. But at least you do have leeway, and you make that decision. So, but what if he decides at some point he does want to get the GED? Can he come back and just sit in on the classes?
We probably don't have an arrangement for that, because everything's so structured going through our program. We probably don't have any way to do that, because if we did that, he would come in. He would have to, because we have a couple nights a week the GED, but it's not always. Sometimes we have special events or something. We move it, so it wouldn't. It's just not good unless you're in the program.
But he can go out and get that out in the community.
Sure,
everybody else
always.
does that.
Yeah, they can do that.
But so education has been very important to the organization now, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I just, it makes people, it gives them hope. Yeah. Some people never dreamed in a million years they would get even one college credit. They've been scraping and groveling, and it just never entered their mind. And what it does is it causes them, one of our saying under our logo is restoring hope one life at a time.
Yes.
Well, that's another thing that restores hope, is to give them hope, not only just that they can do stuff, but educationally they can get their high school diploma. And if they've already got it, they can, and sometimes they get, we had a smart aleck. We had a guy who was a college graduate, came in and flunked the exam. He was such a obnoxious guy. So you get all kinds, you know. But usually it's the people that have to really struggle that really do the best, because they really put themselves into it. And
so with those 9 credits, let's say that's the maximum they can get, will that transfer anywhere to any school?
Yeah, if because then it's a accredited school. Most like when I went to Oklahoma State, I think we had 128 college credit hours, and 18 of them were electives, assuming you got your major course study. So I could have used those as electives. You can use underwater basket weaving if it's a accredited school, for an elective. So it may not be in your course of study. Now, we have had students that have left, and their life has been so changed that they felt like they wanted to go into a ministry. So they went to the South Florida Bible College Theological Seminary, and they enrolled and are actually taking classes right now to become ministers or missionaries. So it's, because the thought, they never dreamed that they could do anything to help others. It just was beyond them. They were so needy themselves, and it just totally revitalizes their whole mental way of thinking. It's like a butterfly cocoon becoming a butterfly. It's a total transformation.
Well, and I just want everyone to know, because I need to keep telling people who's on the show. I get so involved. Dean Webb, Executive Director of Faith Farm Ministries. If you want more information, go to their website, which is faithfarm.org. Faithfarm.org. You'll be able to see Dean Webb. He's on a lot of our YouTubes that you can go to, Boomer Times Presents, and put in Dean Webb, and you'll see him. He's attractive, he's smart, he's friendly. You'll really understand a lot from him. Also, if you have Boomer Times in front of you, you can go to page 19. It's the March issue, and you'll see lovely Judy Walters that does so much for the organization. And it's this month. It's a blessed homecoming, and it was blessed. And I was so thrilled. I came home after that lunch at the big under the tent at Faith Farm, and I just sat down and tried to explain it to Bill, to just tell him what it does for me. It's like a renewal for me to see what human beings what can happen to people.
Yeah, two of those three people have been clean. They came through Faith Farm over 30 years ago. Roy Foster, the veteran, he left and started Stand Down Ministries in Lake Worth area, and now he just, on November 11th last year, he broke ground on 160 units for veterans. So that'll put him over 200 units he's got for homeless vets coming out. And he was a nominee for Hero of the Year Award for CNN in 2009. And here was a guy that stood up 70 million people being broadcast, and he's telling about his veterans ministry there. And this was a kid that was kicked out of school because he was too shy to talk in front of his class. He had to go stand out in the hall because he just choked up. He couldn't do it. Now I looked at him, and there he is talking to 70 million people. And then Marty Angelo, who he came through 32 years ago.
Saturday Night Live guy, right?
Yeah, he came right out of prison, came to Faith Farm, and Pappy, our founder, just kind of really was attracted to him, took him by the side. Now, this guy was an entertainment mogul. He managed singing groups and all this stuff. And Marty just really, just soaked up everything, Pappy's energy and his knowledge about the Bible and all this stuff. And he left after about a year, went to Teen Challenge, a group that helps addicted people, teenagers. And then from there he went to California. And I've been trying to get him to homecoming for 3 years, but he was never around. He was always busy in California. He's written 5 books. He's really a neat guy. And but he was able to come. He moved to Florida to help. He's contracting with 2 recovery ministries right now to put the God factor into their recovery, because they're realizing that if you don't put spiritual input into people while they're going through the recovery, all you've done is created an abstinence program. And so they're realizing that you take them off the street, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 30 days, whatever, you've just practiced abstinence. If you don't put something to energize something spiritual down inside while you're doing that, then they don't have the strength to stand when they get out. And so there are a lot of recovery ministries are realizing that. And he came back from California, and he's under contract by two ministries. He actually helped start the Sheriff's Drug Farm. You remember they had 3,000 people in it at one time till they cut the Sheriff Bradley's funding, and they had to shut that down. But he helped establish that before he went to California. So Marty's a really, really sharp guy. And then Alyssa, she's the one in our book, God bless her, she's the one that screamed out to God, "Why didn't you kill me?" when she was in the motel, and the guy she was shooting heroin with and got him addicted, he died in the middle of the night, and she was still alive. And she couldn't understand why God took him and not her, because she was the cause of him getting addicted. And she's on page 31 of U-Turn, our book.
That's right. I've got the U-Turn book right here. I always bring it with me. U-Turn to God, Wrong Ways Made Right. You can buy that. Faith Farm Ministries has it. Get on the website, and you'll be able to click on it. It's not very expensive, and it is so spiritual. Well, spiritual. It's just so beautiful to see these people, and that they're so honest about why. I mean, some of the stuff's pretty strong.
Pretty raw.
Pretty raw. But you know what? Each one of these people are on their way now to making the world a better place. Yeah. That's really what's happening.
I had a dentist call me. They put the call through as dentist in Tampa. And he'd been through Faith Farm program, 12, 14 years ago, something like that. And he'd gone to dental school and become a dentist. And,
after?
After leaving Faith Farm. And he said, I tried to tell people how low I was and how my life was changed at Faith Farm. And he says, I'm fairly articulate, but he said, I ran across your book. Somebody sent it to me. And he said, when I read those stories, he said, I now take the book and give it to my people and say, okay, these graduation speeches tell it better than I tell it to you. If you read several of these, you'll get the idea of what I've been trying to tell you about my life change at Faith Farm. So he said, thank you for putting that out. He says, because that says it better than I'm able to say it to my patients. And matter of fact, today I thought I was going to be late to do the radio show because before I went out, I got a phone call, and I recognized this name. There's this girl I knew. My father had helped her father who start a church in Kentucky, and my father was in Tulsa. And anyway, they came to Tulsa. He was assistant pastor for a while, and this was his daughter. And I thought I recognized her name, so I called her back, and Jean says, I ran across a copy of your book. She said, and now I haven't talked to this woman in 50 years.
Now, this
50 years.
This is fabulous.
And,
so your book is getting around.
Yeah. So she said,
well, how'd she find
I read it, and she said, well, her brother who lives in Phoenix gave it to her when he saw her Christmas. I'd sent him a copy because he'd sent me a copy of his book. And so I sent him a copy, and he read it, and then carried it up to her in St. Louis and gave it to her. And so she said, Dean, I couldn't put it down. It was cover to cover. I read it.
Right.
She said, it was just so powerful. She says, but I just thought, oh, my gosh, what you're into and what life has changed in 50-something years.
Yeah.
And so we were adding up, and it's actually about 55, 56 years since I've seen her. Yeah.
Well, we're all inspired, and I think what you've done is great. But maybe we ought to really talk a little bit about how you get funded, because I think it's important, or else you won't be able to support these people. So we know that we always hope people will just write checks and just give you checks and help people, whether it's in your will or you have some extra money, at the end of the year, before the end of the year, whenever. A check for $10, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million. It all go in the same pot, and it's all going to help those 400 people every 9 months to be able to make a different life for themselves. It's an easy way, because you see in your organization, you actually everyone can see where the money's going and what it does. That's the important thing. But besides that part of it, I think just recently someone here from our studio just got a new apartment, and he's just getting on his feet, and he needed to furnish it. So I told him to go to Faith Farm, and first thing in his mind was, well, no, I want new furniture. I don't want someone else's furniture. He started being very negative. And I said, no, but sometimes used furniture is very good. But I said, I tell you what, they do have new furniture too. So why don't you go there? He's looking for a mattress. Darned if when I saw him the following Saturday when he came to the show, and he told me that he bought the most gorgeous new orange couches, leather.
Really?
Ashley. And he also bought the mattress, and he just can't stop raving about it. He said, I didn't know that they had new furniture. So, we never go into a lot of this, but I think we need to, because you do make money on your thrift shop.
Yes, we do. And everything we do, we're out of the mold on just about every ministry there is. One reason is about 94 cents on our dollar of everything received is put right back into the program. So that's the highest by any measurement of any organization ever. And then only 1% is for fundraising. The other 5% is we spend on administration. But the other thing is 94 cents on the dollar of every dollar we receive comes from our micro business enterprises. And so we're on a month-to-month basis, we're fairly self-sustaining. And that's really unusual. Most people have to do fundraisers all the time to stay alive, to keep doing what they do. And this expense about $2,800 per month per person to get them through. So that's not cheap,
Gosh,
but it's very effective. But anyway, a lot of people, one of our frustrating things is when people like it to say, wow, you're really self-supporting on a month, but that is really neat. That's cool. Well, the other side of that coin is when you ask for donations, they say, oh, well, I already gave. I called and you guys came and I picked up my old couch and stuff. So I've already given to Faith Farm or I shop there. So I know that the money goes to help. So I've helped. Well, that's true. But we still have to have extra money to replace our truck fleet. We have 29 trucks out picking up donations 6 days a week. Those things, we put a lot of miles on. We have to replace trucks. We try and increase the number of beds for the people we serve so we can take more people off the street and they'll turn their lives around.
The bridge that you just got.
Oh, the bridge. Oh, yeah, the bridge. The bridge. Yeah, for those who don't know, our bridge was condemned. A 50-year-old bridge was condemned. We had to put a new one in, and it was $1.1 million, and we about died because we didn't have the money. But I could do about a 4-hour show and tell you all the miracles of people that have happened. Even here on this show, I'm telling you about the bridge, and I never forget. You opened your purse and dumped it out,
I did.
and you had 5 20s. You gave me here. Put this $100 towards the bridge. I'm going. Everywhere I go, people go. Let me help. Let me help. And even you did that right on the air. I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's because we saw it is the bridge to heaven. It is the bridge to something. It is not. It's not like, I'm in a lot of organizations and give to junior achievement and it's good, but you don't see the kid that you're giving it to. But here at Faith Farm, especially because I go to the graduations, I try to go to some of the things, I see what it is.
See the life change.
Yeah, the life, what it is, Dean. And so it makes me thrilled that there is an organization like this.
Yeah, it's the best job I ever had in my life. I mean, I not only get, I feel like an NFL football player. I love to play football. I can't believe they pay me to play football. Well, I don't want the board of directors hear this, but I can't believe they pay me to get to enjoy. Yeah. I know I work hard, but still the rewards are unbelievable. Unbelievable to see the lives turned around.
Going back to that man, I have repeated this conversation. I keep saying it was a Saturday Night Live performance. I've got his name, the one that 30 years.
Marty Angelo, yeah.
And he was saying how all these big, money-making guys arrive in a big limo to see their friend who's now clean and working hard. And where is he? He's in the big yard where they have
used
appliances. Not only new appliances, but used that he's selling. And they said, "You're doing what?
You've come down to selling used appliances?" This guy used to manage their singing group, made a lot of money.
And he's so happy. He was so happy, and he was so.
He said, "I'll never go back."
That was really. I really liked what he was saying. I think it was really important. It's it's funny. Just like looking at this radio station, everyone does their job, and they're really nice people, but it's hard to really get the same kind of enthusiasm that you bring, and what you feel at your place. And I know we've run out of time. I haven't given the website again. faithfarm.org. This is Dean Webb, Executive Director. I'm ANITA FINLEY, and this is the Boomer Times Radio Show. And I thank you all the time, Dean, for being here with us. And please, everyone, read the monthly articles. They are so good. I don't know how Judy Walters does it, but they're pretty good. So thanks a lot, Dean.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.